Alrighty, today we have gotten finally to the day that will make Sarah super happy. And we are going to talk about splitting perennials. So in the heat of the summer, you don't really want to split perennials because that stresses them out a lot and it makes the transplants much less successful. You can split perennials in the spring, first thing, through probably May 15th, June 1st, somewhere in there, and then you want to kind of hold off for a little while until this time of year. So after August 15th, September 1st, you can start splitting perennials again. And so the concept around splitting perennials is really simple. It's just taking an established plant, like here I have a Shasta daisy, and taking an established plant and dividing it into multiple different plants and transplanting them and moving them around. So we've got this guy here, which has probably, 6-8 inches around, something like that. And then we're gonna divide this into two different plants. Today we're gonna talk about two different methods for dividing perennials. And one is just taking and splitting off the plant while it's in the ground. And the second is pulling the whole thing out and then dividing it. So that's what we're gonna learn today. All right, so this is the first method of splitting perennials that we are going to talk about today. So what we're going to do is, you can come over here now, Gigi. What we're going to do is take this clump of Shasta daisy and we're basically going to cut it in half. And so what we want to do is you want to get a decent amount of roots to come out. So you just take and, don't fall over. Take and point your shovel in toward the plant, and then with pretty much all perennials you can just cut down the middle. So now we have all these roots, all these healthy roots here, and we have a plant that's still in the ground here, and then we have this one that we can move around. And so it's as simple as that. So I have a spot on for that's really close to my face. I have a spot for this plant over on the other side of the house, and so I will put it over there and water it in really well and plant it like we plant all of our perennials, just if you're getting it from the nursery or whether you're splitting them and moving around. Then with this hole, I just fill it with soil, and so it's good healthy soil for the rest of the perennial to grow into, and then cover back up with mulch. Now we're going to go to the second method, which is pulling the whole plant out and then dividing it up. All right, so the next one we're going to do is a daylily, and so this daylily is struggling a little in the heat and the drought stress that we're having, but I don't like daylilies that much, so it can die, and I'm totally happy with that. So we're doing this for exhibition purposes, so you can see. So daylilies, this works really well for peonies, irises, anything like that. So what you want to do is the same process, is go around the outside. Another thing I didn't say earlier is you don't want to split and move perennials when they are in active flowering, because that will stress them out significantly. And you want to do it while they're outside of their flowering period. All right, so I got it dug out, and so we have this plant with a really good sized root ball here now. And so you can, something like this, cut it, if you think about like a 4-inch container at a garden center, or a gallon container at a garden center, that's what size you want the plants to be. So something like this, depending on where I have that I would want to use it, you can cut it into multiple sections. And so with this, all you have to do is just go straight through it. And now we have a full-fledged plant that we can put in the soil. Now this section over here is still pretty big, so we're going to take it and cut it again. So this one daylily that I've had here growing for 4 or 5 years is now going to be 1, 2, 3 different plants. This could be into 4, a 4th plant if we wanted it to be, but I'm not too worried about that. So couple things to keep in mind as we're talking about splitting perennials. A lot of times when you split perennials, you take them and you share them with friends, with neighbors, things like that. Right now, like Scott County here, jumping worms haven't been found yet, but they're probably here. They're in a lot of different areas throughout the state, and so you have to be really careful when you are sharing plants to make sure to keep jumping worms at bay. So with these plants, what you need to do is check and just make sure you don't have anything in the soil. And if you're doing this in the spring, you need to wash all this soil off because the little egg sacs from the jumping worms look very similar to soil. So you need to, at your house, before you transport them anywhere, clean them off. And if you have any concern about having that you can't see them well enough or you can't get them clean enough, then don't share plants, because right now that's really important, because jumping worms are spreading like crazy. They're being found all over the metro especially, and we need to make sure to curb jumping worm spread as much as possible. So that's one of the number one things you want to worry about when you are moving plants around. So then the other thing is, when I take and have split perennials, I tend to cut the tops off of everything. Those guys. So we cut the tops off to have just a few leaves left on here, because the root mass is significantly reduced from what it was before, and we have by reducing the amount of leaves and everything on here, we are reducing the amount of water that these roots need to transpire up into the plant, and so that helps it to take well and to move forward. So it's a really good thing. So now, as you are thinking about what perennials you're going to split and move around, make sure to use the comment section to let us know what you are doing. Show us how successful you're being and where you're at. So this is splitting perennials 2 different ways, and let us know what perennials you are splitting today.